Hello everyone and welcome to the May 2019 session of Dr. Spotfire. Today we will be presenting on streaming data in Spotfire 10. As everyone is aware that TIBCO now is going on, we had amazing session in Singapore last month, and we also are hosting TIBCO now this year in June for Chicago and in September for London. The conference is a great opportunity to hear from speakers in analytics, participate in hands-on workshop, and network with other experts in your field. Be sure to register in next couple of weeks to get a spring discount. You can visit TIBCO Now website or talk to your account rep for more details. As Dr. Spotfire, the slogan is learning is not driven by answers, but questions. So keep asking those amazing questions. Today we are broadcasting from Boston, so East Coast. This is our crew. My name is Ninad, which is your host for today, and our team. This is our team who bring great Dr. Spotfire to you every month. Today's session will be connect and analyze streaming data in Spotfire 10. I will be doing initial part on Spotfire, and we have Eddie Galmez, who is Chief Architect on Streaming Analytics, who will be taking care of how you create those streaming data sources. So let's get into the demo. So this is a final product. I will say. Thanks to Neil, who created this amazing dashboard for us. If you see the data is moving, there are document properties which you can use to show different type of data into the line chart. These three charts are the map charts, and I will show you. So it's just a map chart with image layer, and there are markers properly positioned to display these values, which are like tire temperature, and there are rules to change the color based on the temperature of tires. Same with this is a shape file, and we're showing where the car is racing on the track. This on right hand side, these are just bullet graphs with text area showing how brake temperature and tire temperatures are moving. So this is the, I will say, the final stage. So just let's get in from start when you start the Spotfire. So what I will do is I will start my Spotfire client. Okay, I will minimize this one. We don't need that. And let's log in. Okay, so I am using 10.2, which is the latest Spotfire version. Come on. Okay, come on. So yeah, it's starting up. It's on my sandbox. Okay, so this is Spotfire 10.2. Then let's see, we want to connect to streaming data. So I will click on Spotfire data streams. Okay. And then let's connect to. Perfect. So this is the table we want, and these are all columns which we will be playing with. So as you see, it's external, and that's how we want, because it's a moving data. It's kind of push when it comes to data. So as you all know, the data is ready, and now it's how we should start, right? I should mention that the NLQ part as its external data doesn't work on streaming data. So let's start with visualization. Let's add this line chart. Excuse me. Okay, when the data is getting loaded, let's event time and put it on hour, minute, and second. And for this, we want to see how our fuel is going on with time. So we want to get a fuel level, no aggregation. Okay, so now we know how our fuel level is going per minute. So next, excuse me, let's go and first create one categorical column so we can create we can able to have proper marking in tree map. So because this demo data, we don't have any categorical value. So what I will do is I will create one quickly so we can use, and let's call it as just lap number. Okay. So okay, let's create a tree map and put hierarchy as our new column, size by time. So where you are lap time and average, and color by same, lap time and average. Perfect. So now we have this tree map, and if you see brush linking will work on both. So now we want to create, we want to find more, right? So let's understand how each laps are going. So let's go create a visualization and line chart. What I want to do is I want to see how my laps are going. So lap time here and lap distance here. And I want to, oh, sorry, should be none. And want to color by same lap number and line by same lap number. Okay, so if you see, the current lap number 5 is progressing, and that's because of that our line chart also progressing as per data is getting streamed inside Spotfire 10. Okay, now let's try to understand how we can create some relationship or try to understand the insight between excuse me, acceleration and probably speed. So let's see, let's create where are you, acceleration, let's have average, and then create for speed, so speed, and put it on average. Perfect. So now we can, if you see, we can actually compare. So number 6 is the current lap which is going on. Let's compare that with the first lap. So if you see, we can able to see that the tank was full. Now tank is at 33, and how it's progressing compared to the lap number 1 to understand where it's going. We can able to see how it's accelerating and how speed is changing based on its journey. We can actually have that same, the previous TXP I showed where we have the shape file of the track. We can actually able to understand on which level its speed going down and how it is. So next, the cool thing about this is you can actually able to forecast as well, even though it's a streaming data. So let's do forecast, And so yeah, if you see, you can able to even forecast. I know not proper or right example, but just I wanted to show that if your data is right and proper use case, you can actually apply the forecast on your streaming data as well. So going back to our story, now how about we want to see the temperatures on my tires, right? And even if it's streaming data source, you can create your calculated column. So let's see. Let's only take example of one. Insert. And oh, sorry, my bad. Too many clicks. Okay, so let's create a simple calculated column to figure out what will be the overall brake temperature, right? We have temperature for individual brakes. So let's do this. Divide by 4. So overall brake temperature, and click on OK. So okay, and just let's create one cross table. And actually, you can all means I wanted to show how you can create the same average overall brake temperature, like overall tire temperature as well. But just for time purpose, I'm just showing one. So like this, you can create calculated column. But yeah, before I forget, I wanted to talk about one thing. So if you see, here are functions which are a little bit different than usual Spotfire functions. Some of them, and it's pointing to TIBCO live data mart documentation. But what you can do is, let me bring my browser, and so what you can do is, for example, any of the functions you want, you can just Google search that one. With, for example, let's take an example of this one. Function TIBCO. And this is our documentation site where you can actually able to find it as well if you want to just Google it. And there are everything explained what it do. For example, that function try to find the non-null values from different columns or different set of data. So you have to understand, right? In streaming, for example, you have multiple sensors for redundancy purpose, and you just want to use a non-null data from any of that sensors. Such functions plays a vital role. Anyway, so going back to our example, we saw we can create calculated columns and excuse me, guys, inside streaming data, even though it's streaming. And this is, as I mentioned, this is just a sandbox where we have a streaming data which is in loop. So just give it a 2 minute, and there will be lab 2 will start, and then I will show that you can actually same like other standalone data, you can create tray lists to go deeper to understand how it is going as well. So like this, yeah, probably it's just doing lab 1 at the moment, but it will create trellis, and you will see the current lap progressing and able to compare that with the existing laps which are completed. What else? You can even create lines like horizontal line to have a, for example, average. So you can create horizontal line to show the average of whatever graph you are showing. So how you do in usual data in Spotfire, you can do that in do that with streaming data as well. Oh yeah, before I forget, I want to also talk about what we have at the moment on our side, the demo which we have, which you can just download and start playing with it. So just what you need to do is just TIBCO Spotfire streaming. Look at this, I did it once. So streaming Wikipedia, and it will open up this page, and this is it. So streaming Wikipedia analysis. And you just have to download the demo. Okay, it's downloading. Cool. So since we are done with this one, let me open that here, because I want to talk about how the biggest thing in streaming data is there is in Spotfire you can actually relate streaming data with historical data. Unfortunately, in our demo data set we were showing right now, we haven't had chance to do that, but this Wikipedia demo, we have that in place. So I just wanted to show you guys quickly. So this is that same Wikipedia demo I downloaded a moment ago. Come on. Okay, awesome. So this is that same demo data, and yeah, it's loading. But since when it's loading, let me show you guys data table properties. And if you see, this data is this data is not streaming, but we can able to create relationships in the data to relate to create a relationship between streaming data and historical data to find the insight, or trying to create some relationship to understand the nature. So like this, if I'm marking in last 24 hours, and it can able to bring me facts from historical data. So this is pretty cool, and you guys, as I show, can quickly jump on this demo gallery and able to play with it. One last thing is here, this is our initial one. So if the data is streaming, there is a new, I will say, property comes here where you can say, okay, I want to limit my data for last 2 minutes. So for example, I want to see 2 minutes, and here I want to see 1 minute. So 1 minute. And okay, and you can actually write expression as well. So it can show me what happening in last 2 minutes. Plus, as we can able to write custom expression for other data sets, you can do the same. Like, what if I want to see when my car is not accelerating and it's on the brake? So I can do that, and I should change this to acceleration. We can able to see when my car is not accelerating and how it's performing when it's not accelerating. So this is pretty much it from how you can play with your streaming data in Spotfire. Now I will pass this to Eddie, who is going to show you guys how you can create streaming data sources. So Eddie, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Anand. All right, let's get a screen shared over here. Okay, hello everyone. So by way of introduction, an explanation around the streaming capabilities in Spotfire. So that comes courtesy of an offering which is labeled TIBCO Spotfire Data Streams. And one of the products, with the one that you're familiar with obviously through these sessions, is always the Spotfire analytical tool. And then streaming data comes courtesy of a separate tool that is the Streambase studio here that we're seeing. And in that product, you can actually launch this wizard. This wizard is used to make the connection between Spotfire and any stream of data. We have a wizard to make it very simple for data admins to be able to connect to most commonly used streaming data sources. And then power users can also use the Streambase studio that's behind this dialog here to connect to easily over 50 plus other sources. So we'll show that in brief. Now I understand the audience here is primarily end users and not necessarily data admins or power users. So I will not get into a lot of depth on this, but it just gives you an idea of how this works. And the key to understand here is that streaming data by sort of its definition is just data that's constantly changing, constantly being pushed, events that are appearing at all times. Unlike historical data, you're not necessarily analyzing all of it, right? What you want is a window on that data. That's what you set up here. This connectivity wizard is both sort of the connector to various technologies and also, importantly, the definition of what window of data that you wish to look at. This can be as small as, for example, some dashboards or telemetry type applications, perhaps sort of the racing one you saw earlier. There, a lot of that data was very just latest event. So you were just looking in real time at values of various sensors or the brake temperature, et cetera. And sometimes you have a little window of data, which is to be able to, that's to be able to see a little history. So you saw, for example, a line chart of the acceleration or the speed and other data like that. But what's important to understand is streaming data, of course, is by its definition infinite, and thus we have to create a window. So data admins can use this tool, the connectivity wizard, to browse, discover data on a streaming data source, and then make it available for Spotfire. So I'll show you just a brief demo of one of these. So for example, here, after launching the connectivity wizard, which is launched from the Spotfire Data Streams tool, the first choice you have is, so these are the most common streaming data sources at the moment, currently available. We're going to be adding more over time. And again, any power user that sees, that does not see a streaming data source that you're using, you have the full power of the tool that's right behind this. So let's choose, for example, MQTT, a quite common Internet of Things sensor type protocol for streaming sources. And the wizard is intended to be actually a guided method. So you will see that I will not enter any code. Again, power users who need to do advanced operations that you don't see in this wizard have the full power of the Streambase product right behind. So for example, here I'm just running a local, the same data that Ninad was showing with the racing, the car going around a track. I've actually also streaming it live right now, just in a loop. And so, but here you would enter whatever server you have, in this case, an MQTT server. The next thing we do is we assist you, the wizard tries to assist you in discovering data that's available. Many of these streaming data sources are usually shared, similar message buses of sorts that can carry a lot of data for different applications. And the wizard will actually help you find that data and fine tune the window as we're going to go through. So here I asked it to spot what data is flowing through this bus. In this case, I've spotted my topic, that is car data stream here. And right after, I can do the same sort of discovery using the tool. Here it's sniffed the messages that are going by in real time, and it's determining the schema of that data. So in this case, this again corresponds to the data you saw before, but this is live connected to a data stream, and the tool just figures out these are the fields I've seen, these are the types. Here, the data admin's steps are just to confirm that some of this discovery in real time is appropriate. Since it's real-time data, you'll never see all of it. So you might not be able to know exactly what type of number it is, for example. Another thing that needs to be in the hands of data admin is, and this is a generality for most streaming data, in a way there's two types. There is a time series of data, which is simply every event is important, every event is to be stored, and in this case here, we have this car going around a lap. Every data point is of interest, so we're going to select time series. Data can also be keyed, and therefore that's when you wish to analyze the latest data points for a given, for example, if you're monitoring buses in a city, there's only so many buses, and for each bus you just want to have the latest. So this is one of the first choices a data admin makes. But after that, just from a simple radius selection, the next thing is how much data will be retained in the window. This is a data admin task of deciding based on resources. Ultimately, that's really what's going on here. How much of this data we're going to hold for the streaming dashboards. Depending on your needs and depending on the data rates, the data admin would understand if it's very low rates and very small amounts of data, it could hold it for weeks to have a window. More generally, streaming data sources, think even social media, etc., generally, sort of a day or less. But again, it's up to resources that the data admin provides. And then after that, the wizard here, we're just going to skip around. It obviously informs you about authentication. There's all the sort of features that a data admin has to do eventually to make sure that the server is up and running in your enterprise. Finally, what we've done in this wizard is also the ability to work in the DevOps world, which is fairly popular. So there's two modes of using this wizard. One is it creates something that you then use this tool and you would sort of pass it on to your to somebody to deploy in using the stream-based tool for deploying. Or we actually also, if your organization is using containerization and it's compatible with a Docker image, this can actually just generate a Docker image for this streaming wizard. So to understand again, if I were to finish here, which we're not going to bother for the demo, what this does is I've created an entire server application that will connect to the streaming data source, in this case an MQTT topic, and then present it and make it available to Spotfire as we saw before. And I will show you quickly by switching my share. So, just to be clear here that this shows up in the connectivity list under TIBCO Spotfire data streams. And so anything I ran with that connectivity wizard then becomes available here as a connection. Okay, Nan, that's what I had to show.
Thank you, Eddie. That is really exciting. Okay, so back to the presentation mode. So as you guys saw, there is so much you can do with streaming data. I hope I haven't missed anything. That's why I was like, I'm not missing anything. Anyways, so as you all know, this session will be available on demand for 1 month, and then we will post it on our YouTube channel, as we are doing for last 2-3 sessions. As always, please keep asking questions, post on community, hashtag Dr. Spotfire, or tweet us, or you can directly email at drspotfire@tibco.com. Next session, I will be doing next session with my colleague Neil. It will be about our effort in creating self-help resources on community so people can quickly start with Spotfire. It will be really interesting. Please join us. And I want to also mention that our senior data scientist, Andrew, just released the book on Spotfire. It has really about building enterprise class data analysis and visualization solutions. So please check out. You can able to order also if you want to from Amazon. And as also always, our community has a lot of resources. When you are looking for use cases or trying to solve any issues with or questions with Spotfire, try to check out on community. There is a high possibility that you will find the answers already listed or asked by someone on our community. And yeah, shout out on TIBCO Community, we have a Dr. Spotfire officer page where you will find all the previous session if you want to hear or listen in. And our Spotfire Customer Success Center, where it's like a newsletter kind of page where we try to post all the upcoming events, new tips and tricks we pasted on community or anything. So keep checking that pages. That's it from Dr. Spotfire, and hope we will see you again next month. Thank you.